Now, we have 4 absolute gladiators and stalwarts in the crypto world. So it's quite incredible to have all 4 of them in one place at one point in time. So firstly, thank you to all of them. Please give them a big hand. They are the stars for today. So before I go into the details, let me just put a couple of remarks as far as the context is concerned. Let's take the macro view of the crypto world. How big do you think the crypto world is? In the audience, how big do you think in number of trillions of dollars is the crypto world? Any idea? Sorry? 600 trillion? Billion. It's somewhere between 1.5 to $2 trillion. That's the range. Now, what does that represent in terms of the overall ecosystem and the overall market that we have around in the world? The global market of assets available for investable assets is 400 trillion. This is less than 0.5%. The investable assets are 160 trillion. Equities are about 100 trillion. US equities about 50 trillions. Family assets about 50 trillions. What I'm trying to share with you is that even though it's extremely topical and emotional, it is still in its infancy. It's starting out. It's a little bit like what the internet was in 1995, 96. So that's one of the comments I wanted to make. The second thing is the central bank does something very interesting called quantitative easing. It's basically a lazy way of inflating the market and just printing cash. And I think that is the CAGR, the compound annual growth rate for the amount of money that's released in the economy is around 15%. So the hurdle rate for any kind of performance has to be 15%. Otherwise, you're actually regressing. So 15% is a really important number. The only thing that is outpacing that is not S&P, it's not any of the other exchanges, it's actually Bitcoin. That's the only one doing more than 15% on average. So that's another macro view. The other thing is Coinbase, which is one of the places who talk about a lot about crypto, says that over 90% of the coins that are out there will no longer exist over the next 12 months, 90%. Another one is the global population at the moment is about 8 billion people. Cell phones are about 5 billion. Internet connections are about 5 billion. Unbanked people in the world are about 2.5 billion. Guess how many blockchain wallets out there? You know it. How many blockchain wallets? Crypto wallets? Crypto wallets. Okay, crypto wallets, blockchain wallets. We are already starting, the grenades are going out there.
Let's get the semantics right.
Okay. Crypto wallets, blockchain wallets, right?
No.
Let's keep going. It's okay. That in itself can be a debate. It's okay.
Fine. So it's only 70 million, between 70 to 80 million. So can you imagine the size and the opportunity for growth there? So there's a lot that can be done. Do you guys know when Bitcoin actually started? Around 2008, 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto, basically the bankers and the financial institutions and the regulator were in total crap. And everything was just falling apart, the whole financial system, and it was too big to fail and all of this. And then suddenly some big maths brains comes in and starts putting things together. So that is the foundation of crypto, and we need to be looking at that. We'll talk about energy issues related to Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, which is becoming quite interesting and serious. A lot of people just seem to be, I'm just throwing balls in the air so we have at least some context, is FOMO, fear of missing out. That if we are not in this game, think, oh my God, if I had invested in Amazon in 1996, where would I have been today? If you start doing those kinds of calculations, and crypto's already reached 1.5 trillion, and if it goes onto this doubling curve, which it is very likely to be, where will it be? So that's the FOMO bit that's sort of coming in. A lot of centralization versus decentralization. All the central banks are trying to regulate, but the whole idea of crypto is decentralization. So they should be called decentralized banks, not centralized bank or central banks. And there are lots of other issues that will happen because if there's total decentralization, there are no boundaries. We don't know where to start, where to end. Therefore, what are we going to do with taxation, pension funds, who's going to get the money from where, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sure these will all be debated. So enough from my side, enough context. This is the motion here today. These are the kind of facts that we are working with as we look into the future. So I'd like to just add 2 or 3 rhetorical points, and then you'll have about a minute and a half each to do closing, and then voting, okay? You were talking about the government. Bretton Woods conference was in 1944, and it created the IMF, the World Bank, and others. They were created 80 years ago for a completely different environment, for a different reason, for different purposes. Are they equipped to be able to manage us today? And that is my big question mark there. The second one is that in terms of conflict, people like PayPal are now accepting Bitcoin, but the owners of PayPal are also invested in Bitcoin. So it becomes literally a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme. They're sitting at the top. Cash App is exactly the same thing. So that also becomes an integral part. So there's a lot of vested interest and conflict coming in there also. Another point I mentioned before, but in a decentralized digital world, the issue of pension, taxes, and the social welfare state. I think that is also going to be another key question. And my final point was, what do we unlearn? Because we do things in a certain way. What are the top 2 or 3 things we have to unlearn to be able to live in this brave new world?